Something's telling me the Xbox 360 store closed recently. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, we've known for a while that the Xbox 360 online store would be closing this summer, more specifically the 29th of July. What does that mean exactly? Well, it means you can't buy anything from the Xbox 360 store direct to your Xbox anymore. You can still buy and download things on the Xbox One that are backward compatible from the Xbox 360 era, and in turn you will be able to re-download them, if you will, onto the Xbox 360. That's my understanding of it. But you won't be able to purchase games that are not available on the Xbox One marketplace as backwards compatible. As an example of this, Burnout Crash, technically speaking, no longer exists. If you bought this in the Xbox 360 days, or recently, just before the store shut down, you're safe. You will always be able to download it, you will always be able to play it. However, at the moment anyway, if you didn't buy it, didn't download it, don't currently own it, there is absolutely no way you can buy it unless you buy a hard drive on eBay, maybe, with the pre-download there. I'm guessing some people have done that, kind of like Flappy Bird situation. It's sad times indeed, and it is an end of an era. But you'd think with the way people are speaking that the Xbox 360 is no longer functional. Every single video I see is RIP Xbox 360, the end of an era, the final nail in the coffin, and I don't really understand where they're coming from. There isn't a digital-only Xbox 360 console. Every single one has a disc drive, and if we're talking games that no longer exist via the Xbox marketplace, it's probably less than 1% of the entire library. And they're games that, okay, granted, you might have had some fun playing, and there may be some decent ones in there, and I am again referring to Burnout Crash, which is actually a really good game. But for the vast majority of people, they're games you didn't know exist that you won't probably ever play again or indeed miss. For those who will miss them, I do feel for you, and I honestly feel like Microsoft have to do something about it, whether they can try and reacquire the licenses to put them on the Xbox One as backward compatible games. I'm sure this would annoy the collectors in some way or another that rushed to the Xbox 360 store to download all these games before the store shut down. But in terms of prolonging and preserving these games, these works of art, if you will, I feel like Microsoft have to do something to try and preserve them. Now, with that being said, the whole point of this video isn't to take a trip down memory lane and look back at all the games we will no longer be able to play. Instead, I'm here to put a different spin on things. This is not the end of the Xbox 360 by any stretch of the imagination, and I wouldn't say that this is now where it starts either, but this is definitely a turning point, a milestone, a notch in history, if you will. Now the only way to play Xbox 360 games, unless they're backward compatible on the Xbox One of course, is to go and buy them physically. Now what does this mean for prices? Well, in the last couple of months prices have just shot up. I mean, they've gone beyond anyone's wildest dreams. I've made plenty of videos on this channel about games I expect to go up in price, but even then, if you'd said to me, do you think, insert title here, is going to go up to 40-50 quid, I would have said no, I think that's just a little bit too steep. Most Wanted, for example, has gone up to what, 55 quid at the moment? If you'd said to me, do you see that game going up to 55, I would have said I think that's maybe a little bit too far, maybe 40, 45 at the absolute max. It's currently 55 quid, and to be fair, it'll probably only go up from there. And there are plenty of other games that have done that as well, but there are loads of games on the Xbox 360 that are still super cheap, or at least very well priced, at that price point that you're able to pick them up en masse, and you're able to build out a very nice sizable Xbox 360 collection. The Xbox 360 is far from dead. Just because the store is shut down doesn't mean you can't play these games online. These servers are all still up for all games that had servers. So all of the Call of Duties, for example, you can hop on right now, and there's actually a pretty active Black Ops 1 community knocking about the place. You can go and get a game within seconds. And I'm sure that reigns true for the majority of the other Xbox 360 Call of Duty titles. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is also true for other online games. There are quite a few that have had like a resurgence in recent times. I've spoken about this fairly recently with pickups such as Section 8 and Shadowrun. Both of those, as far as I can remember anyway, have had a resurgence of some description when it comes to the online. So the servers are still up and fully functional, and I don't see these going away anytime soon because they keep adding these games to backwards compatibility lists. So they're going to want to keep the online going in order for people to continue continue to play them on Game Pass. And that's good news, and that means that the Xbox 360 is alive and kicking. Now, if you want the best experience when it comes to the Xbox 360, in my personal opinion, there's nothing better than the original hardware, and I would say that for more or less every single console that you can think of. However, these days, backwards compatibility is a thing, and the Xbox has a wide array of choice. It won't be every single game, but there are a massive amount of video games there that were available on the Xbox 360, that still are of course, that you can now play on the Xbox One. And yes, they will probably run more consistent on that console with regards to frame rates and such, so I guess you could argue that it's better to play it on the Xbox One rather than the Xbox 360, but I'll always stand by that original hardware is king. Now, what does that do for prices right now? Well, like I said, prices went through the roof not that long ago. Now that the store has closed and the hype and FOMO has kind of just gone, I guess, does that mean that the prices are now going to start to fall off a little bit and maybe come down? To be honest, I really don't know what is about to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if prices went up. I wouldn't be too shocked either if prices kind of came down a little bit, and I also, believe it or not, wouldn't be too surprised if prices stayed the same. Sound advice there, I know. But the point is that every single Xbox 360 console has a disc drive, and it has some of the greatest video games of all time. Some of them are not backwards compatible, so to say that the console is dead and has been on a decline for a while, which is something that I heard in a video about 20 minutes ago, is absolutely ludicrous. All you have to do is go onto YouTube right now and type in Xbox 360 to see the sheer number of people talking about this console. I'm not going to say Xbox 360 is not dead, in fact it starts today, but it's not too far from the truth. The challenge now is to try and collect for this console on the cheap. Walking into CEX is definitely an option, and it's an option that I enjoy because it kind of gives me that nostalgia of being able to walk around a physical store and look at all the video games, all the different platforms with the option of trade-in available. That's why I love CEX, and there could be a video about that coming soon, but they're not the cheapest if you want to just walk into a video game store and buy some games with cash. They can be a little bit more on the expensive side because for many they dictate the market, and I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but I am on the side of they actually do dictate the market like 90% of the time. If they up their price and you then go to eBay sellers up their price as well. If CEX lower their prices, eBay sellers again, they have to come down to that of CEX or just a little bit under, otherwise what's the point buying it on eBay when I can just walk into a store and pick it up today, and I get a warranty with it as well. So going out and finding the bargains, I mean, it's always been a thing to be fair, but it's now going to be more important than ever when it comes to playing these games. For us physical collectors, that's always been the way. I do have some digital games, but it's a mere drop in the ocean compared to how many physical games I have, and how many times I play my digital games compared to that of physical. Yeah, you've guessed it, I don't really touch the digital side of my games at all. On Saturday I sat down and I went through it very quickly to see what I could and couldn't pick up. I found it very difficult to add any sort of money to my wallet, and I couldn't use my card directly for some reason. It said that there was a problem with the store, and therefore I missed out on buying a few games. Am I that bothered? Not really, because I can't even remember what they were. It was more of an impulse thing. Oh quick, I need to get that before it's gone forever. I don't even know what it is, and I don't even know what it was. So I'm not going to miss it. I'm not that bothered. The games that I really wanted are the games that I'd already bought when they first came out. So Burnout Crash, for an example. State of Decay on my 360, which is something that I'm pretty sure you can't actually buy on the Xbox 360. You can play it on the Xbox One, and you can buy it hard copy, of course, but you can't play it on the Xbox 360 unless you have it digitally. Is it that big a deal? No. Is it nice to have? Yeah, I guess so. And there are a few other games there that have been delisted, and now of course everything's been delisted, but the challenge now adds to the excitement for me personally. I love collecting video games, I love going out and hunting for video games, and I love walking around, as I've mentioned, CEX looking for video games, trading things in, going into CEX with 20, 30, 50 quid's worth of credit, being able to pick and choose what I want. Oh, I fancy playing that today and picking that up, going to boot sales and cash generator and those type of stores, even charity shops and Facebook Marketplace. But I also really enjoy playing the video games. And whereas I do get enjoyment from certain arcade games, and of course there were certain games that had a little bit more to them than just an arcade game, I don't think I'm going to miss the store anywhere near as much as people are making out that I'm going to. The console's dead. It's over. Let's move on. No, let's not. Let's actually start collecting and really concentrate now on building out this collection. So let me know in the comments, is the Xbox 360 dead? Now that the store is gone, is that the end? Are you a physical collector, or maybe the store closing now is going to prompt you to start collecting physical?